Well, I think last night was a terrible night. I think some of the scenes that we witnessed were shocking. And to quote the words of Matt Baggett, the Chief Constable, they were certainly shameful and disgraceful, with 32 police officers injured, some of them with head injuries, possibly about 3 broken legs, a policewoman with 2 children brought to hospital, and of course the community in general, but not just this community, effectively terrorised. Not just here, the events at Carrickhill and the Short Strand were quite clearly Parades Commission determinations were broken, show that there was a strategy in place to do just that, and I think that was well flagged up by the leadership of the Orange Order prior to those events actually taking place. So I think it was a bad night. I hope now, in the cold light of day, that common sense will prevail, that people will recognise that we have to find solutions to all of these situations. And I want to address one very important point, which is constantly repeated by people within the leadership of the Orange Order, about their culture being under attack, or there being a cultural war against them. Yesterday in my city, thousands and thousands of Orange men and women marched, and it was a totally peaceful occasion. And that came about because myself and others, many years ago, 10 years ago, decided that we wanted to resolve the issue of parades in our city. And we did so in a way that saw communities come into a room together with the loyal orders, the business community and so forth, with our full support, to seek solutions and find solutions. And our city has been trouble-free for the last 8 years. And again, against the backdrop of all of this, totally peaceful yesterday. If there was a cultural war being waged against the Orange Order, we could have stopped the Orange Order marching in Derry City 10 years ago. Didn't want to do that. We believe they have a right to march. We believe that the apprentice boys have a right to march. And that came about as a result of being able to agree how that would be done, so that offence would not be caused to anyone. And so they had a totally trouble-free day in the city yesterday. Therein lies the solution. And I want to quote James Hetherington, the Grand Master of the Orange Order in my city. Well, to quote him yesterday, he said, Londonderry men, I'm sorry about being sexist about this, but it's his comments, Londonderry men and Derry men can sit down and talk about these things. That's what needs to happen in Belfast. And people can't use the argument that the Orange Order did sit down last weekend. The solution in Derry only came about after months and months of dialogue and discussion. And that's what needs to happen here. So leadership needs to be given by politicians. It needs to be given by the leadership of the Orange Order. And some of the absolutely blood-curdling remarks that were made over the course of the last 24 hours need now to be seen against the backdrop of contributing to the violence that we saw here last night in Belfast.
Who do you blame for last night's trouble?
Well, it's easy to oppose and blame, but I think for me it's about finding solutions, and it's about recognising that this represents a real problem for political institutions, for the peace process, and for the need to ensure that everybody has their cultural identity respected. So I think I'm going to avoid opposing and blame. I've made my point last night. People can make their own judgments as to who was responsible, as to who didn't give leadership in all of this. I'm in a place where leadership was given by people like Jerry Kelly, Carol Cullen, other representatives of my party, of whom I'm very proud, and the way in which the community that supports us responded to that and recognised the importance of not becoming embroiled in the effort to draw them into a situation which would have been much worse if that had have happened. Quite clearly, huge leadership was given. I have to say, we need to see that reciprocated within unionism and within loyalism and within Orangeism. There needs to be a recognition that if we are to move forward and resolve these problems, it has to be done in a way that brings people into a room, showing respect, being dignified, and working out solutions. And I again point to what happened in my city as a template for moving forward. People who ignore that are putting their head in the sand and condemning communities such as these to more years of conflict and abuse every time July comes around.
You must have a view of who was responsible for last night.
It's quite clear who was responsible for last night. In my opinion, the leadership of the Orange Order failed the Orange Order, and they failed these communities, and they led people up to the top of the hill, and they, as a result of all of that, saw the people that they represent rioting, been involved in violence of the worst kind, damaging the police service that we all have given our allegiance to as a result of the agreements that we've made, with a number of police officers now hospitalised as a result of these attacks. So, quite clearly the decision announced some hours ago that they're suspending their protest, in my opinion, was a massive admission by themselves that they were culpable for what happened here last night.
Can a way be found out of this?
Yeah, there is a way out of this, and Richard Haas hopefully will arrive here, not because of this, but because we had asked him to do this particular job sometime later this week. We didn't need Richard Haas in Derry. 10 years ago we started a process which involved the loyal orders, local communities, the business community, the community and voluntary sector, supported by political parties. And as a result of the dialogue that flowed from that, and it wasn't just over one weekend, it took a long time to do it. For the last 8 years, the city of Derry has been totally peaceful. And yesterday we had, one of the biggest parades in the whole of the north in the city, and there wasn't a hint of trouble. There was no tension in the air. Everybody was quite relaxed about it. That's the solution. That's where we need to get to. We need to get to the same situation in Belfast, where people are prepared to come into a room, not as part of trying to pull a flanker, not as a result of thinking we'll go into a room and the Parades Commission might give us a decision. What you do is you go into a room absolutely determined and dedicated to find a solution to the problem. We found a solution to the problem in Derry. I think it can be found in Belfast, and that's where we need to work. And I am going to work with my unionist counterparts, fellow unionist ministers. I'm going to work with Richard Haas, and I'm going to work with, if they're up for it, with the leadership of the Orange Order and others within the political process to find a solution, because the last thing we need is for this to repeat itself again next year. And I think there's a lot for everybody to reflect on as a result of what we've seen over the course of the last couple of days.